Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Works Podcast. My name is Samuel Ashkenazi. I'm so sorry I wasn't available last weekend. I have been booked solid for a really big job right now, and it's taking up all of my time. Luckily, I was able to squeeze in just enough time to review these movies for you this weekend. But before I do that, if you like this podcast and you want to see more of it, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, and check out my Patreon page where these reviews hit your inbox hours or days before they make it to YouTube. Backrooms is rated R. It's an hour and 49 minutes. It's produced by A24. This is a horror sci-fi directed by Kane Parsons. It stars Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renata Renzva. Backrooms is from director Kane Parsons, yet another YouTuber turned filmmaker dominating the box office this year, and we have to talk about it. Well, Backrooms has an interesting story of how it became a major motion picture. What started out as an odd post of a stock photo on a discussion site eventually became the web series and video games known as Backrooms. The massively popular short films on YouTube were made by filmmaker Kane Parsons, also known as Kane Pixels, his YouTube channel. Using 3D animation software on Blender, Kane created several photorealistic animations, found footage-style horror films, where people mistakenly enter an alternate dimension known as the Backrooms. Inside is an ever-expanding universe. It has no sky and no exit to an outside world. It is a never-ending office space, eerily vacant and populated with strange half-remembered items from different times and places, very visually adjacent to something like Apple TV's Severance. But it is also so much more. The story centers around Clark, Chiwetel Ejiofor, a furniture salesman who isn't very good at his job. His wife has left him, possibly for drinking his sorrows away, and he finds himself spending his nights sleeping at the store. To advertise, Clark has his two young and blasé employees, Kat and Bobby, Lukita Maxwell and Finn Bennett, film him as Captain Clark, a pirate mascot for the store. He complains to his therapist, Mary, Renata Renzva, that his nights at the store are becoming sleepless due to strange, reoccurring power fluctuations. Like Clark, Mary is harboring her own darkness. One night, Clark investigates the flickering lights and discovers a doorway to the aforementioned Backrooms. The movie takes a really long time to get going. The characters are not particularly deep, which becomes a bit of a problem when much of the film acts as an allegory of our protagonist's inner struggles. Once in, the film ramps up, both in pace and tension. The longer you watch, the better it gets. Kane Parsons was only 20 years old when A24 greenlit this production, making him their youngest filmmaker ever. It kind of makes me want to kill myself. He has simultaneously given them their highest grossing film to date and their first major franchise off an original IP. This is only 2 weeks after another young YouTube filmmaker, Curry Barker, dominated the box office with his horror film Obsession, which was made for less than $750,000. When Hollywood hires new writers, new directors, when they give these filmmakers a voice, they succeed. Backrooms is a whopping box office success and will undoubtedly be getting a sequel, and I'm really looking forward to it. Backrooms is good, not great, but most importantly, it left me wanting more. With time, more life experience, and with the success of Backrooms under his belt, I feel the next in the series has the potential to really wow us. I gave Backrooms 3.5 out of 5. Moving on to Masters of the Universe 2026. This is rated PG-13. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's from Amazon MGM. Oh, God. It's a fantasy action adventure directed by Travis Knight. It stars Nicholas Galitzine and Camila Mendes and Idris Elba. Forgive me, oh powerful Grayskull, because I have never heard of this franchise. I have no idea who He-Man is. He kind of looks like Flash Gordon, and he comes from the planet Eternia. Eternia is a magical place full of fantasy creatures and aliens alike. Sorcery and laser guns go hand in hand in this universe, and to be honest, it's pretty fun. Stupid, really stupid, but really fun. Adam, Nicholas Galitzine, is a human resources employee on Earth. As a child, he escaped to our planet when Eternia was taken over by the evil, skull-faced Lord Skeletor, played by Jared Leto. He tortures and destroys Eternia by forcing them to listen to 30 Seconds to Mars. Adam was sent to Earth with the Sword of Power, and if you feel like the names are feeling a little on the nose, that's okay. One of the best parts about this Masters of the Universe is it doesn't take itself too seriously, with Adam even commenting, "Yeah, that's actually what they called it." The Sword of Power is like the ring from Lord of the Rings. It contains the power of the universe, strong enough to defeat the most powerful of evils. Young Adam, Artie Wilkinson Hunt, is swept into a portal and thrown a million light years away into a lake outside Oklahoma City, losing the sword in the jump. For 15 years, Adam searches for the sword until one day, it turns up at a comic book shop. Once back in his possession, Adam must return to Eternia to save his people. I have to tell you, sometimes as a critic, you start to get this sense of which films are going to suck and which aren't. All the red flags were here, but I'm happy to report that Masters of the Universe was a fun time at the movies. The universe itself is childish, but visually, it's about as epic as you could imagine. Vast, vibrant landscapes occupied by creative, colorful characters like Trapjaw and Ram Man. Nicholas Galitzine is clearly having a blast with this role. He is a sympathetic underdog and a sexy hero. This might be the role he gets known for forever. His charismatic performance is also aided by a great script. The writing is almost perfect, except for this one incredibly tasteless, shameful Amazon advertisement they edit into the middle of the movie. The scene is so transparent and off-putting, it will hit you like a delivery truck being operated by an Amazon worker who hasn't been allowed to take a break for 36 hours straight. Speaking of a long run time, Masters of the Universe does run a little longer than it needs to. At 2 hours and 20 minutes, at least 15 could have been shaved off the top. That isn't to say that the movie is slow. It is filled with some cute, awkward comedy, some of which work, some of which doesn't. It is also filled to the brim with action that never stops. Master of the Universe is basically non-stop action from start to finish, with a great score to boot. I suspect fans of the 1982 movie, the original cartoons and comics, or even new audience members curious to see something a little on the lighter side, will really enjoy Masters of the Universe. I also gave this 3.5 out of 5. Now, we have to talk about the problem child. Scary Movie 2026. Rated R, 1 hour and 36 minutes. It's from Paramount Pictures. Yuck. It's a comedy horror directed by Michael Titus. It stars Anna Faris, Regina Hall, Marlon Wayans, and Shawn Wayans. It has been 13 years since Scary Movie 5 disappointed fans and left the franchise dead in the water. Could bringing back the original writers and cast reinvigorate this once sharp satire on horror films? The Wayans brothers are clearly bitter about how things went down. To this day, Scary Movie is one of the highest grossing R-rated comedies ever. I and many around my age adore it and view it as our generation's Airplane. With its out-of-the-gate success, the Wayans brothers were quickly greenlit for a second Scary Movie, which I still found funny, but as many fans would assert, it is the weaker of the two. From there, the Wayans brothers lost ownership of the franchise, and the third and fourth films were handed over to the director of the aforementioned comedy classic Airplane, David Zucker. Zucker brought a distinctly lighter tone to the franchise, which then also began being written by Craig Mazin, the screenwriter who would eventually give us Chernobyl and The Last of Us, and The Sheep Detectives. What? While 3 and 4 are often looked down upon by fans of the franchise, I still very much enjoy these films. The first 4, regardless of who's steering the ship, make their laughs with slapstick comedy. Slapstick legend Leslie Nielsen even makes an appearance in the Zucker Scary Movies as President of the United States. For all the credit the Wayans brothers would like to take for creating the parody series, it was Anna Faris and Regina Hall who largely propelled the franchise forward. Their characters, Cindy, an offshoot of Neve Campbell's Sydney from Scream, and Brenda, became the face and comedic center for the Scary Movie films. I don't really know how Anna Faris is as an actress. I've seen her in some seriously unimpressive things, but I think, especially with time, her performance as Cindy Campbell is one of the funniest female performances ever put to screen. Her airheaded ditz of a character will forever be one of the funniest things I've ever seen. For instance, like in Scary Movie 4, when she meets a Japanese ghost child and instead of speaking Japanese, begins to just list Japanese brands, which the film helpfully translates into an actual dialogue. Her dry delivery is priceless. But alas, all good things must come to an end. Scary Movie 5 featured none of the original core cast and failed to bring audiences back. They survived without the Wayans, but there is no surviving without Anna Faris and Regina Hall. When it was announced that the Wayans had regained control of their Scary Movie intellectual property, I was very happy for them, as they deserved ownership of it. But with that was the announcement of a sixth film, with the entire legacy cast returning. Fans will be flocking to the theater this weekend for Scary Movie 2026. It is undoubtedly going to continue a solid streak at the box office right now and rocket to one of the top 3 spots if it hasn't already by the time this is posted. And while there are some really funny moments in the new Scary Movie, I just gotta be honest with you folks, this was not good. Where to begin? Well, let's start with the writing. It is rushed at best and incoherent at worst. There is really no plot. While all the Scary Movies have had really convoluted plots to tie together so many different bits, this 6th installment doesn't even try. Instead, we really get a series of sketches, some of which have no logical connection to the scene just before it or after it. The writing also reveals a lot about the Wayans brothers going into this. While it could be argued this is not called Scary Movie 6 because it is mocking the trend in horror reboots like Halloween 2018 or Scream 2022, I am not as convinced. The Wayans brothers has even gone as far as alluding in interviews that it wasn't called 6 because they didn't want to acknowledge the sequels they weren't a part of. This is supported by the numerous attempts at jokes in the script, poking fun at Anna Faris for taking the roles in 3 and 4. Over the course of Scary Movie 6, it must come up over 10 times how bitter the Wayans brothers are about their franchise being taken from them. This is made worse by the fact, simply put, the cast is doing a terrible job here. Anna Faris has a slow delivery now. She is doing an older woman sort of accent that doesn't fit her at all. We meet Cindy again here. She is mirroring Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween 2018. There's so much room for comedy in that idea, but the bits are so rushed and ham-fisted that it just ends up falling totally flat. Marlon Wayans as Shorty, one of the best characters ever, is terrible here. Shorty was an actual character in Scary Movie 1 and 2. I mean, sure, he was heightened and eccentric and more obnoxious than anyone, but he was also fully developed. Here, Shorty constantly falls back on his catchphrase, "Oh shit, son!" but fails to understand why the reasons that was ever even funny. Shorty is also the type of performance I really feel could only be done and created by a young, hungry comic. When Marlon Wayans created Shorty, he was at the peak of his comic creativity. When we look at Shorty now, this is a successful, older Marlon Wayans with different life experiences, and frankly, the character of Shorty just isn't visible to me anymore. It feels like a costume. The other returning cast members are basically non-existent, stopping in for 1 or 2 scene cameos, including Shawn Wayans as not gay Ray, who is still gay, tired, unfunny joke now. John Abrams as Bobby contributes virtually nothing. Lachlan Monroe as the micro-manhooded jock Greg has a couple of scenes making the same jokes as they did in Scary Movie 26 years ago. Chris Elliott as Hanson from Scary Movie 2 stops in to do a parody of Longlegs. It contributes nothing. I don't even think he had any dialogue. Dave Sheridan returns as Officer Doofy, a role which doesn't even make sense now because, spoiler, he was not autistic and was the actual killer at the end of Scary Movie, but that's completely forgotten about. That is just, it's completely retconned. I'd argue the only performance who walks away unscathed is Regina Hall as Brenda. She is the only person in the cast that still reads as that character, and she's hilarious. She's great. Let's talk about the comedy, though. There are a lot of misses here. One thing with slapstick that makes movies like The Naked Gun so timeless is that a lot of the gags are visual. They are often stupid things we can all relate to, or taking people to literally. I think of the scene where Leslie Nielsen and Priscilla Presley are kissing. Jane looks up and tells Frank that she only practices safe sex, and in the next shot, both characters are wearing body-sized latex condoms. Come on! The first 4 Scary Movies, and even 5 despite its failures, used that style of comedy. It's why Scary Movie is still funny today. Which direction should Carmen Electra run? Safety or death? She chooses death. Scary Movie 6 has a lot of topical social humor. Anyone who follows my podcast knows I'm a political guy, and I love political humor. But not here. This isn't clever enough, or frankly, relevant to what this film is supposed to be. This is supposed to be a satire on horror films, not a social commentary. It just doesn't work. The best performance in the movie, by far, comes from Olivia Rose Keegan, who plays Sarah, Cindy's daughter, who didn't exist, by the way, as of Scary Movie 4. Poor Cody, I guess he died in war. Anyway, I was really unimpressed with Scary Movie 6. I'm not particularly surprised that this movie just didn't live up to the hype, but boy, am I sad, at the thought that it could have. I gave this 1.5 stars out of 5. So listen, I'm working right now. I'm working a big job. I'm very excited about it. I am still putting out videos on this channel, on my Instagram page, and of course, I'm putting out videos for Protest Art, but putting out a lot of live lyric videos. Be sure to check those out. But these next couple of weeks are super busy for me, guys, so I do apologize if the reviews become infrequent or not on time. I'm working my hardest here and just super busy. So please stay tuned. And like I said, the best thing that you could do for this channel if you really like these reviews is subscribing to that Patreon page. We have multiple different tiers on there. I have these reviews out early for you as a member on there. So please check that out. And as always, pay attention and sign up to be a poll worker. New York is looking. All right, I'll see you next week.